The actor and writer and director looks back on the final season and Ethan Hawke playing their dad. Plus, guest actor nomination predictions, our advocacy picks, and more in EW's, the Awardist, digital magazine. Reservation Dogs star Devery Jacobs reflects on the show's final season, becoming a triple threat, and how they got through that scene with Ethan Hawke. When we first met Elora Danan Postock on Reservation Dogs, she was shattered by grief over the suicide of her dear friend Daniel, Dalton Kramer. Over the last 3 seasons, we've seen Elora, played with beautiful subtlety by Devery Jacobs, and her fellow Residential Dogs bear, Tfero Wunatai, Willie Jack, Paulina Alexis, and Cheese, Lane Factor, go on a healing journey that was heartbreaking and hilarious, accented with magical realism and powered by universal truths about community and friendship. Since Reservation Dogs' premiere in 2021, Jacobs has continued to take on new challenges. The 30-year-old actress, born Kawinahare Devery Jacobs in the Conowique Mohawk Territory in Quebec, Canada, joined the writer's room in Season 2, where they and showrunner Sterling Harjo co-wrote the emotional and uplifting 4th episode, Mabel, about the death of Elora's grandma, Geraldine Keems. For Dogs' 3rd and final season, Jacobs added TV director to their resume with the bittersweet Wahoo, in which the spirit of Elora's late mother, Cookie, Janae Collins, returns with an important message for her daughter. Family is a prominent theme in Reservation Dogs, but for Elora, who lost her mother as a child and grew up thinking her absentee father was also dead, it was also a source of pain and longing. That all changed in this final season as Elora decided to pursue a college degree. A move that ended up connecting her to a man named Rick Miller, Ethan Hawke, her very much alive and eager to bond father. That meeting is chronicled with tender, clear-eyed honesty in the series' penultimate episode, Elora's Dad, written by Jacobs herself. Despite landing on multiple critics' lists every year since it debuted, despite being voted one of the 10 best programs of the year by the American Film Institute Awards 3 years running, and despite being a 3-time Peabody Award nominee, Reservation Dogs has earned one Emmy nomination for Outstanding Sound Editing. AHO, Academy of Television Arts and Sciences voters, heed our urgent plea. There's still time to give Reservation Dogs and its extraordinary ensemble, including but not limited to Ms. Devery Jacobs, the honors they so richly deserve. Should you need more convincing, and you really shouldn't, read our conversation with Jacobs, who spoke with Entertainment Weekly's The Awardist about giving Elora and the Res Dogs the send-off they deserve, directing their co-stars, and why they really wants to be a guest judge on Top Chef. Devery Jacobs. I think I'm still processing it. It's bittersweet that it's ending, but we can hold our heads high and we can feel just as strong, if not stronger, about the 3rd season than we can after the 1st. In terms of when I found out, there were whispers in the writer's room halfway through filming the 3rd season. So, it was around the time I was directing Wahoo. I was in a car with one of the writers. We were carpooling and they said, "It's sounding like this might be it." Up until the end, there was still a possibility that it might continue, though it would look very different because so many storylines were ending. On the last day of filming, I knew for myself, even if the show was coming back following different characters or was maybe set in the 1970s following some of the characters we know and love when they were young, I knew Elora Danan was sent off on her way, and her journey was over. I knew this was the last time I would be playing Elora Danan, and I would be letting her go in Okmulgee and Muskogee territory. It was emotional filming the final scenes where we're in the church at the funeral for Old Man Fixico, Richard Ray Whitman, and me and Bear saying our goodbyes. Those were real tears fing up our war paint. Laughs. Was it Sterling's decision to end the series? Yeah, it was. I think he was hoping that there might have been a different iteration of Reservation Dogs, but the way this series wrapped up was so final. In my opinion, there was no way to continue. It was tough that the season came out during the strikes because we couldn't talk about it. We weren't able to post about it. Obviously, there was tremendous work being done on the front lines by all the members of the unions. It was definitely bittersweet, but I think the best way to go out is to leave people wanting more. There are so many great episodes this season. I'll just go chronologically. Episode 4, called Friday, is maybe the funniest one. The Residential Dogs are punished for running away to California by having to work at the IHS clinic for the day. You got to share some scenes with John Proudstar, who plays Willie Jack's dad, Leon. We hadn't really seen your characters together much before. What was it like working with him? Those were some of the first scenes back, and I think everybody was just excited to be back in Oklahoma despite it being tornado season. Yeah, I'd never really had a chance to work with John Proudstar before. He is just such an uncle. He gives such uncle energy on camera and off camera. Also, IHS days were the best and easiest days. They were always so much fun because we weren't braving the elements. Since we shot inside an office building, it almost felt like a studio, so it made it just easier and fun. But getting to work opposite John, who is an incredibly talented actor in his own right, was just a treat. I think my favorite part about Reservation Dogs is just when you think you understand what the world is or who these people are, there's a new combination of interactions between community members, which is always ridiculous and chaotic. There are so many funny moments in that episode, like when Bev, Janice Schmeeding, and Big, Zon McLarnon, are flirting at the reception desk and Alora is cleaning nearby. How hard was it to keep it together? Oh my gosh. Okay, they are both hilarious. Janice Schmeeding, I'm convinced, is the funniest Indian out there. It's funny, a lot of that storyline was improvised and ended up becoming a running thread through the rest of the season of how they ended up getting together. But yeah, we were just letting them run wild, and meanwhile, I'm in the background reacting. That gum being pulled across, laughs. There were moments where I broke. I couldn't hold it together. 2024 Emmy nomination predictions. Guest actor and actress in a drama and comedy series. The Last of Us and Succession occupied the majority of the drama guest actor and actress categories in 2023, while Ted Lasso and The Bear snagged several of the comedy slots. But in 2024, The Bear is the only one among those that's still on the air and eligible. So who will make the cut this year? Here's who we think, right now, will land nominations. By Kristen Baldwin. Guest actress in a drama series. Glenn Close, The New Look, Apple TV+. Michaela Seal, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Lindsay Duncan, The Morning Show. Claire Foy, The Crown. Parker Posey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Prime Video. Sarah Paulson, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Though both Claire Foy and Olivia Colman reprised their role as Queen Elizabeth in the final season of The Crown, only the former had enough screen time to qualify as a guest performer. But don't feel bad for Ms. Colman. See comedy below. Meanwhile, one of the many pleasures of Mr. and Mrs. Smith is its guest stars, several of whom are in serious contention for a spot in this category. Paulson, meanwhile, also has a good shot in the guest category for comedy. Guest actor in a drama series. Ron Perlman, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. John Turturro, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Walton Goggins, Justified, City Primeval. Kyle MacLachlan, Fallout, Prime Video. Michael Emerson, Fallout. Once again, expect Mr. and Mrs. Smith to take up the spots filled by Succession and The Last of Us at the 2023 Emmys. And if there is any justice in this world, Walton Goggins will add this nomination to his nods in comedy and drama for I'm a Virgo and Fallout, respectively. Guest actress in a comedy series. Jamie Lee Curtis, The Bear, FX on Hulu. Sarah Paulson, The Bear. Olivia Colman, The Bear. J. Smith Cameron, Hacks, Max. Kristen Wiig, Saturday Night Live, NBC. Kate McKinnon, Saturday Night Live. One episode of television will dominate the guest categories for comedy. The Bear's star-studded, hour-long family dinner fiasco, Fishes. And SNL usually snaps up at least 2 slots in the guest categories for its notable hosts. Wiig has earned 3 nominations for past hosting gigs, and 10-time nominee McKinnon hosted for the first time in December. Guest actor in a comedy series. John Mulaney, The Bear. John Bernthal, The Bear. Bob Odenkirk, The Bear. Andrew Lopez, The Bear. Ryan Gosling, SNL. Timothy Chalamet, SNL. No, Lopez wasn't in Fishes. As Garrett, the GM who clashed with and then won over Richie and Forks, the actor delivered the single best line reading of the year.